I'm here again to share some thoughts with you about what happens in your career when you reach a plateau. Hello, my name is Delano Lewis. I'm here again to share some thoughts with you about what happens in your career when you reach a plateau. I know many of you have been here before, where you have looked around and there seems to be a ceiling. There's nowhere to go. You check around, you think about, how can I move up? What are my strengths? What are the opportunities facing me in the company? Where can I go? And it looks as if maybe I'm at a plateau. There's nowhere to go. You know, this happened to me several years ago. This was when I had worked my way up at C&P Telephone Company in Washington, D.C. And after the Bell system was divested, it became a part of one of the baby Bells, Bell Atlantic. And I worked my way up to be vice president of the C&P of the Bell Atlantic operations in Washington, D.C. And I looked around, I was getting close to age 55, and I'm thinking maybe after 20-some years I could move on, or maybe I could find other opportunities in the company. So I looked around. I thought about my skills. I'd been in public affairs, I'd been in regulatory, I worked with lawyers, I'd been in marketing and related public affairs activities. But I was not an engineer. I didn't do in-depth kinds of operations. And I thought about international. The company had been in international for a while, but they were beginning to retrench. They were beginning to come back. So I didn't know where I had any opportunities in the company. As I was thinking this through, I got a telephone call one day. The telephone call came from Mr. Arnie Miller. And he says, Mr. Lewis, my name is Arnie Miller. I'm with a firm of Isaacson and Miller, an executive search firm. And I want to take you to lunch. And I said, really? What's all this about? He said, well, I've been asked by the board of the National Public Radio, which is a media company, to look for a president. So I said, why are you calling me? And he said, well, I've lived in Washington for a while. I worked in the Carter White House. And I followed you in the papers and I followed your career. And I thought maybe you might be interested in the presidency of National Public Radio. They're looking for a business person to run the organization. Can I take you to lunch? Well, so as it would happen, I'm thinking about where I am in the company, thinking about my strengths, doing an assessment of where I might go. Well, maybe this is an opportunity. So you sometimes have to take risk, and you sometimes have to say, okay, let me see what else is there. So I went to lunch, and the more and more he talked about it, the more excited I became about National Public Radio. So I put my application in. That was a real risk. And I put my application in, and he came back and he said, we need to talk to your bosses or your boss. And I said, no, they don't know I'm looking. You can't do that. He said, if you're serious about this job, we have got to check your references. We have to talk to your boss. That was a real crossroads, because I thought if the company knew I was looking, I would be not looked upon favorably. That would be a problem. But I was interested. I thought I might have plateaued. Maybe this is a chance to move out. So I said, okay, let me talk to my boss first. So I did. At that time, I had two bosses. I chatted with them. I finally got to the CEO, the second boss, the big guy. And I said, I have a chance to look at another position. What do you think? And I was so pleased because he was a mentor. He was a friend and a colleague. And he said, you've got a job here as long as you want. But I think if you're interested, why don't you go ahead and take a look? But let's keep it between us. So I did. So I went for this job. I found out later there were 200 some applicants, and it came down to two people. And the executive search person Arnie called and said, okay, it's down to two. Now, they're going to be half-day interviews. So I'm coming to you first. Would you like to have your interview in the morning or the interview in the afternoon? I'm asking you that question. Which would you choose? Would you go first when you thought maybe you would lead off? Or would you go second when you feel that that person would have to be compared to you and you're the last person that they would see? Well, if you chose first, that's what I did. I decided I want the first interview. I wanted to be fresh. I wanted to set the stage. I wanted the second candidate to be compared to me. I want to do it first. That turned out to be a winning strategy. I really prepared hard. I came into that interview with flip charts. I talked about a vision for what I wanted to accomplish at NPR. I talked about goals and objectives. I talked about using technology in the business world to advance public media, a not-for-profit organization. I won over the board, and I was selected to be president of National Public Radio. So you can do it too. First of all, you have to take risk. Sometimes you have to even move outside your comfort zone. Sometimes you have to be aggressive and go after it. So I'm saying to you, you can do it as well. So that's all for now, and I'll talk again with you very soon. Godspeed.